Hello there, I'm Presley, and today I will be going over the events and giving my overall thoughts on episode 18 of the Bleach Thousand-Year Blood War. Now, this episode covers chapters 560 all the way to 564. Alright, so the episode starts off with us seeing the Department of Development and Research. And we see Kisuke there, we see Mayuri, we see the other members of the Department of Development and Research, obviously. We have some talking between the characters, we learn some important information from all of this. We learn that they're about down to 30% of Soul Reapers that are still able to fight out there. We also hear them state that Soifon is injured and is currently being taken care of by Omida. We learn that Hitsugaya's spiritual pressure has disappeared after his fight with Kangdu. They don't know what's going on with that. They don't know where Rangiku is at the moment. They haven't been able to get into contact with Kenpachi, to which, Akon responds that they don't need to worry about Kenpachi, it's fine. We see Mayuri call Sunsui, and, they talk back and forth for a bit, and Mayuri basically, tells Sunsui to get into contact with all the Soul Reapers that have been transported there, and, are still currently alive. And Sunsui does that. He gets into contact with all of them. He informs them of what is going on. The opening theme plays. Then, of course, we see what we saw at the end of last episode with Kensei and Rose arriving to where Masty Masculine is. And, we have Kensei stating that, not to worry, that they aren't going to take up too much of his time. To which we then see him activate his Bankai. We see this metal encase Kensei's arms, it goes around his shoulders. We see Masty Masculine go flying feet first towards Kensei. However, Kensei is able to block his attack. And Kensei states that he can't believe that his lieutenant lost to attacks like these. As he sends a punch directly into Masty Masculine's stomach, we see Masty Masculine, he falls down onto his knees in pain. And, we have Kensei walk up to him, and we see him lift Masty Masculine up by the front of his outfit. And we have Kensei explaining what his Bankai is, how it works, what it does. And, we see him, he punches Masty Masculine, we see him go flying into a building. We hear James crying out upset over what's happened to Masty Masculine, and we see Shuhei start to wake up, and Shuhei tells Kensei they have this all wrong, that they needed to be worried about James and taking him out first. And we see James continue to cry out for Masty Masculine, and we didn't see Masty Masculine. He gets up, he's fully healed, he's fine again. We see him appear right next to Kensei and Rose. We see him send Kensei flying into a building with a single hit. We see him do the same to Rose. He states that his Swift is S for the superstar. We see Kensei get back up. And, we see him attempt to, send a fist flying into Masty Masculine. However, that does not work, and instead Masty Masculine ends up kicking him, and then he headbutts him, sending him flying into the ground. Kensei's lying there, he's clearly injured his arm. However, Masty Masculine does not stop there. He does then immediately send his knee flying into Kensei from a great height, like he just comes down onto him. It knocks Kensei out. Of course, then we see James, and we see where he's been impaled. And then we see him cut in half. And we see Rose. And, Masty Masculine, he's upset over what's happened to James. But then we get the reveal of Rose's Bankai. And, the overall visuals for his Bankai are just insane to look at. It's so cool looking. We see him use the first part of his Bankai, where, we see water surrounding Masty Masculine, Then we see him use the second part of his Bankai, where we see Masty Masculine being engulfed in flames. And Masty Masculine brings up the fact that, he brings up the fact that this is peculiar, this is strange. That, there shouldn't be a Bankai that's able to use both water and flames. That seems like it has so many capabilities. And, Rose explains that his Bankai is actually the ability to control music. Of course, in response to this, we see Masty Masculine burst his own eardrums, so he is unable to hear the music from Rose's Bankai, making it unusable on him. And this was right before Rose was about to use the third part of his Bankai to, wrap things up. Of course, Masty Masculine sends a star-shaped beam directly at Rose. It tears through his chest, leaving a giant star-shaped hole. He's about to send another blast at Rose, who is lying on the ground. However, it is blocked by something, and we immediately see that that something that blocked it was Renji, who has shown up. We see Rukia appear not too long after Renji. Renji tells her to, grab Kensei and grab Rose and, get them to get some medical treatment. And, she takes Rose and Kensei and, and she leaves. We see James, cheering on Masty Masculine, healing his ears. Yeah, he might only be half of a person at the moment, but, he's still moving somehow. Then, of course, we see Renji, cut down James again, tearing him into even more pieces. We see Rukia flying through the sky, carrying Kensei and Rose, and we see her stumble upon Isane, where Isane has stood up, to try and tend to as many wounded people as she can. We head back over to the fight with Masty Masculine and Renji. We see Renji slash Masty Masculine's stomach, we see him also, slash part of his mask. We see James once again. However, now there are multiple James, all cheering on Masty Masculine, and we see him start to change. We see him start to power up. Of course, we see Masty Masculine send a punch into Renji, causing him to, be pushed back a good bit, and we then just see him start to send punch after punch after punch into Renji, we see Masty Masculine then activate his Quincy Holy form. And we see him use his power to create a giant star into the sky, to send it flying down towards the ground. He does, destroy all the Jameses down there. But, he states that, there's no reason to worry, because as long as he's alive, James will be fine, because, they are both connected to each other, and as long as one of them's alive, then the other one can be brought back, obviously. And, Masty Masculine, he's feeling pretty confident that he's taken down Renji. Of course, then we see the dust start to blow away, and we start to see Renji. Of course, then we cut back over to something that happened back when they were all at the Royal Palace, obviously, with Ichibei explaining to Renji that the name he's been using to call upon his Zanpakuto's Bankai isn't its true name, and it's technically only half of its name. So, Ichibei tells Renji that he's going to tell him the true name of his Zanpakuto's Bankai. And, Renji, of course, asks him how he would know this, and Ichibei, of course, goes about explaining how he knows the names of every Zanpakuto, and talks about how he was the one that named a lot of things, Shikai, Bankai, Zanpakuto, he's the one that came up with a lot of those names. And as a part of that, he also knows all the Zanpakuto names. Of course, he does state that Renji still has to prove himself as worthy to his Zanpakuto, right there and then. Of course, we cut back and we see Renji using his true Bankai. It is honestly a really cool design. We see Masty Masculine start to go towards Renji, but we see a hand reach out, like a giant hand, reach out and grab Masty Masculine and hail him into the side of a building. This is part of Renji's Bankai, of course. We then see Renji lunge forward to where Masty Masculine is, sword pointed forward, and we see it stab through Masty Masculine, and we then see Masty Masculine start to crumble. Renji has successfully defeated Masty Masculine. Of course, then the ending theme plays, and once again we have another post-credit scene. This one we see Yuhabak sitting on his throne. We have him mention that he can sense that James was defeated. We see the powers of the Swift return to Yuhabak, and we then see him disappear in a black shadowy mist, and in his place we see Yugrum. And of course, Uryu asked Yugrum what that was about, and Yugrum starts explaining. Now, of course, this scene isn't a new scene. This scene is actually a scene that happens in chapter 565. In terms of the episode, I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved seeing the Renji and Masty Masculine fight. I thought it looked fantastic. I also really loved seeing Rose's Bankai, even though he got defeated, even though he was defeated fairly quickly, I still loved seeing it be animated. It was, because, it's such an interesting looking Bankai, honestly. It is unnecessarily complex in how it looks. Now, the ending poem for this episode is from volume 63, and is, of course, from the perspective of Asnot. Well, I guess this is where I'll end the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!